most people today, unfortunately, use their LinkedIn profile merely as their online resume, which is a shame because there is so much more to uncover when it comes to LinkedIn, especially if you're an MS student. Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Ratik Datta in case you're new here, and I use this channel as a platform to expound on my personal, professional and academic experiences. Surprisingly enough, this video is actually it actually interconnects all three aspects, and I will be expounding on that shortly. To give you a brief background about why I made this video, I did my master's in marketing from Purdue University in the US, where I graduated from in May 2024, after which I decided to come back to my home country of India. And over the course of my time there and even presently, I have noticed a trend where people shy away from posting on LinkedIn for perhaps personal reasons. There are multitude reasons as to why they may do that, and end up using it merely as a tool where they are applying for jobs or updating their university name or any internships that they're doing, and this is truly a shame, simply because LinkedIn could truly be the link, could truly bridge the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. Because I've spoken about this earlier on this channel, organizations abroad are as important as your hard skills are. Of course, I'm not neglecting that their importance in any way, but as important as they are, what is arguably even more important is for you to be a good fit, for you to get a job in the US. And one of the ways you can actually demonstrate that you are a good fit for an organization is through your LinkedIn account. And yes, your LinkedIn accounts are vetted by organizations before they interview you and before they onboard you as well. So your LinkedIn profile is actually that not so secret gem which you can leverage to get that dream job that you want. Now this video it pertains to just about anyone and everyone looking for a job right now. Someone who's already working, someone who is a student, someone who plans to be going abroad for their studies, or essentially anyone who wants to be going to university and will be looking for a job eventually. So I understand there is a good chance that maybe you haven't ever posted on LinkedIn, and that's completely fine, because this video is going to be a good starting point for you, and I will be talking about and highlighting the 5 LinkedIn content ideas that can get you up and running. First thing that you can put out is to be sharing what you're learning. And now this seems like such a basic thing, doesn't it? Because at the end of the day, you pretty much are learning something or the other every single day. And now what you post on LinkedIn may not simply constitute just what you're learning within the confines of your classroom. It could be anything and everything else. It could be something that you've learned on your on-campus job. It could be something that you've learned in a project. It could be something that you have picked up when you were doing an extracurricular activity, or perhaps just even when you were talking to a stranger or reading a book, watching a YouTube channel. The possibilities are endless. I think you get the point. But the point is that people, especially companies, want to understand whether you are someone who is receptive to learning every single day, because at the end of the day, learning is limitless, and someone who is eager, someone who is curious will always want to learn something or the other, which will always want to learn something new. What you could, for example, if you're doing an MS marketing program like I did, you could take something that you've learned from your digital marketing class, something like an A/B testing, and explain it in your own words. Break it down like you would to perhaps a 6-year-old kid, and explain what A/B testing is and why it's important for you. And a bonus tip here is to actually translate what you've learned in the classroom and perhaps talk about how it could help you practically as well. That really does kind of positions you as someone who's able to absorb knowledge and then put it to practical use as well. The next thing you can do is to be breaking down a project. Now, if you're a grad student or if you're any sort of student, in all honesty, you will have a barrage of projects to do. So there will never be a dearth of something to talk about when it comes to LinkedIn. There's a 4-step process as to how you can do this. So firstly, you can talk about what the problem is at hand. Secondly, then you can explain what your approach to the problem was, and what kind of tools you use to solve those problems. And then finally, you can talk about the key learnings that you were able to take away from this entire project. Now again, like I said, it's not rocket science. It's something that you can talk about very, very frequently. It again kind of buttresses the fact that you are someone who is curious, who's inquisitive, and actually wants to share their learnings with the rest of the world as well. The next thing that you can talk about is actually to be sharing your struggles. Again, in my previous video, I spoke about how it's critical for you to not go abroad with rose-tinted glasses, because there will be the highest of highs but also the lowest of lows, where you will be in the trenches. And there is a good chance that a lot of people will have faced such situations before or are already in the mud with you at this point. And contrary to popular belief, showing your vulnerable side, of course not too personal, but showing a little bit of your vulnerable side as a student or as an international student in a foreign country can actually go a long way in terms of actually building an impact and actually connecting with your audience, because people do not want to be engaging with accounts that have only robotic posts on their feed. They want someone who's real, someone who's human, someone they can connect with. And to show your vulnerable side is something which takes a lot of gallantry, and it does demonstrate to the person who's going through your profile that you are someone who could possibly be a lot of fun to be working with. For example, I remember when I was in the US, I made a video talking about how I felt like I felt like an imposter. I had imposter syndrome during my time at Purdue, given that I was surrounded by some of the most brilliant minds that I've ever known in my life. And when you actually sit and talk to people, you realize that everyone's in the same boat as you, because anyone and everyone I spoke to at Purdue, every second person always was of the same opinion, that they felt like they didn't belong. So to be sharing these kind of things, it doesn't just help you from an academic and a professional standpoint, it also helps you from a personal standpoint, where you realize that you're not alone in this, and you can actually be there for each other and build a community, which on a deeper level is actually a lot more rewarding than getting a job at the end of the day, right? Just as an example, a very common example that you can talk about is if you're someone who shies away from asking questions in class, you can actually talk about that on your LinkedIn profile. You can ask for suggestions from people, because again, it shows willingness on your part to actually incorporate advice or any sort of guidance that others who have faced a similar situation or are currently in the same boat as you are offering you, which again it demonstrates emotional intelligence, because it makes you seem like because it then gives off the impression, and rightly so, that you're grounded, someone who's not averse to actually taking advice from someone who has been there, done that. The next thing that you can talk about is to actually be sharing any sort of resource or a tool or a mistake that you've made over the course of your grad school. Again, the mistake part kind of ties into the previous point. Again, it shows that vulnerable side of you. But what also the value addition here is that you can also talk about an AI tool or a resource which might have been useful for you. Now, of course, there are people who kind of shy away from these sort of things because they feel like they are losing their competitive edge. When the truth of the matter is, the way you use these resources is always going to differ from one person to the other. And this is just, again, going to buttress the idea that you are a team player. You're not someone who is self-centered and selfish. Again, goes a long way when it comes to being that perfect fit for the organization that I was talking about. So a mistake that I would like to kind of highlight right now is that when I went to the US, what I should have done in hindsight is I should have started job hunting even before I landed in the US. I know someone who's a classmate of mine who's going all out when it comes to networking even before he landed in the US, and he was one of the first people in our batch to get a job. And that is what the nature of the game truly is. The sooner you start, the better it is going to be for you. The final content idea that I have for you is reflective posts. Now, this kind of ties into the previous points where I spoke about documenting your journey. Reflective posts are an excellent opportunity for you to kind of showcase your journey from point A to point B. For example, you can talk about the nerves that you were dealing with when you boarded that flight to the US or wherever it is that you're planning to go, and now how you feel liberated at the idea of how you feel liberated from the shackles of all that anxiety that you were probably facing. Again, goes a long way in terms of showing self-growth, makes you seem more humane, all of those things. But this is something I personally did as well. I spoke about how I felt in my initial days at Purdue, and then I spoke about how nostalgic and how grateful I was for the journey that I had after I graduated as well. Again, another example that you can possibly document what I personally went through as well is that I made the mistake of not curating my resume and personalizing it according to the job profile and the company that I was looking for. And my resume missed a lot of keywords. There are tools out there that you can leverage to actually incorporate the keywords which are key to getting that job. Not just a general job, but for that specific job, specific company, specific role that you're looking for. Leverage that and you will see that there is a world of difference in terms of the callbacks that you're receiving, in terms of the interviews that are lining up for you. It's as simple as that. Now, if I had to make a reflective post on that today, that is what I would be talking about, which, well, it kind of translates to this video, because essentially, yes, I am pretty active on LinkedIn, but I'm also using other media channels to kind of talk about my journey as well. Final section of this video is I'm going to be giving you a few bonus tips about what you should not be posting on LinkedIn. Firstly, it's very important to be consistent. Do not post frequently in the first couple of months that you're there and then ghost LinkedIn for the rest of the year and then start posting again towards the end of the year, because then that it comes across as disingenuous. It's not something, it kind of defeats the purpose of really putting yourself out there and seeming and coming across as someone who's approachable. The second thing that I would not recommend doing is to just simply be posting your job updates, whether that's an internship or full-time offer. Documenting your journey is a lot more effective in terms of actually generating eyeballs to your LinkedIn profile. And finally, this is why some people might be put off by LinkedIn, is to not be putting up fake inspirational stories, because in all honesty, people can make out when you are posting just for the sake of it, versus as opposed to actually posting something that you've genuinely gone through. Now again, this does not in any way suggest, I'm not trying to insinuate that you do not use or leverage AI for your LinkedIn posts. I am not averse to that. I personally don't, but that's a story for a different day. Just make sure that what you're talking about is actually genuine, because if it's not, defeats the entire purpose of this activity, of this exercise. And you might as well not post on LinkedIn, because it's just going to get you a lot of unwanted attention, and contrary to what a lot of people say, negative publicity may not actually work in your favor when it comes to getting a job. Also, I would personally suggest to refrain from posting anything that is political, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a professional platform. A lot of companies, like I said, are going to be vetting your social media accounts, and given that we are presently in a day and age where talking about politics is a very sensitive issue, I would suggest refraining from it altogether. Keeping your LinkedIn profile professional, even personal, but kind of refraining from politics as far as you possibly can. So that's about it, guys. That is my guide, if you may call it so, as to how you can make the most of your LinkedIn profile to really make the most of your time in the US. Again, these are not surreptitious tips. These are well known to a lot of people. Some of it might even come across as very obvious, but I do implore you to kind of inculcate this over the course of your time there, because at the end of the day, because again, जो दिखता है वही बिकता है, which is a Hindi saying for what you see is what sells. And your LinkedIn presence is not about going viral. That's not why we're doing this. Of course, if you do, then that's another thing altogether. But we're not primarily doing this because we want to be getting viral. We are doing this simply because we want to be seen. All you need to do is to be visible. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you were able to derive some sort of value from this video. And in case you're new here, even if you're not new here, if you're an old viewer, please do leave me one of these. It really helps with the algorithm, guys. In case you're a new viewer, thank you so much for watching right till the very end. Please do subscribe to this channel, where I will be talking about the other aspects of my life as well. And trust me when I say this channel is real talk only. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you have a great day, have a great week ahead. I shall see you very, very soon. Cheers, until next time.